I know I look a little bit crazy, but I had to share this. It's almost Halloween. I thought it'd be super fun if we did a couple of looks using these Halloween themed indie palettes from GLAMlite. This is my first introduction to GLAMlite, and this is my first time just putting them on my eyes, doing the two different looks. And I have to say, part of what makes me want to share is that this was $24, this was $34. I'm about to buy a very expensive Huda Beauty one for about $69. Hopefully it will put out. And I just bought this Mario one for about $70, and it's a different kind of palette, but I am so amazed at how good these indie brands are and how easy this was to use, how much color payoff I got, how beautiful these looks are, and Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. Let's just have a little bit of fun before Halloween. Hopefully one of these will inspire you to maybe check out GLAMlite, because I gotta say, their formula is fantastic, and I actually really like these color stories. I always kind of rolled my eyes at, like, oh, Halloween theme, you know, that's gonna be ugly. But if you look at the actual colors, these are some beautiful color themes and really, really fun. So let's go ahead and we're gonna start with this. This is the new one. This is $34. This is the Michael Myers Halloween 2 one. And I'm just going to take you through, and we're going to do this look over here on this side, and then we are going to do the nice green look on this side. And this is Freddy Krueger: A Nightmare on Elm Street. This is only $24. Those are great prices for things that are really, really like some duochromes, lots of shimmers, really, really good quality shadows. And honestly, if you didn't tell me that this was Elm Street, this is just an absolutely beautiful must-have green palette that I'm always looking for. So definitely want to go over this one. If you had to pick one and you look like me, you know, you're pale and you love your greens like I do, this is absolutely worth having. When I saw it online, I was like, oh wait, that's just a really good green palette. So let's go ahead and get into the looks, and let's just have a little fun for Halloween. Let's get started with the Halloween 2 palette. I always like to start with the lightest shade just to give it a try and see kind of where we're going to go from. This is One Good Scare, and I had to build it up. I'm shortening this just so that it's not boring, but I did have to put it on a bunch of times. Next, I want to go for an orange crease shade. So I was thinking about going for the bright orange, but I wanted to try this sort of a little bit sparkly one instead. Usually I really need to use my finger for these kind of shades, and this one's no different. This one is not hugely pigmented, which is not quite what I was looking for. However, as far as usability goes, that's actually kind of nice. So I'm going to go in with the brighter orange shade called Halloween Masks and see if that makes a better crease shade, which I do think it does. And not a lot of fallout. This is actually really quite easy to work with. Really, really nice. I'm able to sort of windshield wiper it in, and it looks a little bit patchy, but that is because I'm putting it over the slightly, it's not wet, but it's got a little bit of stick to it with the shimmer. So let's go into this. This is one of my favorite colors. It's called He's Back. It is a duochrome sort of mermaidy blue shade. I absolutely love this shade. I think it is gorgeous on anybody who's got blue eyes, even brown eyes. This is really going to pop on your eyes. I think it's very, very pretty. Okay, I do like, so with these particular ones, I try lots of different indie shadows, but one of the things I do like about these shadows is that it's not like full-on chrome when you first put it on. You can kind of build it up. Okay, so let's try this dark blue shade called Halloween Night Massacre. And it is actually, it looks a bit like a gray or a brown in the pan, but it's definitely a blue undertone, but very grayed out. This is not too much fallout. You know, I didn't get a ton on my brush, but it's actually really easy to work with, and it's got just enough of stick to it. I need to come up with a better word, but I'm just sort of thinking off the cuff here, and it really stays where you put it, which I find easier to use. So I want to build up the orange, so I went back into that Halloween Masks, that bright orange, and again, because I put down sort of the duochromes that have a little bit of moisture to them, just like the tiniest bit, it's a little bit harder to blend. They are sticking where I put them. I'm still trying to get some color out of this sort of, it's called the Relentless Michael Myers, but it is that original sort of shiny orange that is a little more burnt and has a red undertone. I definitely find that these are a little harder to blend that way because I want the full shine and I'm using my fingers. Blending with your fingers is just inherently a bit harder. So I'm gonna have to definitely hit this with brushes sort of afterwards to get a better blend, I think. However, this is just like a skill issue for me. I am playing with these literally for the first time on this. I am trying out all these different ones. I have the 2 different blues that I just used on my fingers, Killing It Since 78 and Welcome to Santa Mira. They look really close in the pan and on my fingers. They are slightly different. One of them's a little brighter. I still haven't figured out which one it was that was a little bit brighter. I keep playing with it, and I think it's the Killing It Since 78. So I keep adding that orange back in because it does get lost the more stuff I put on my eyes. I probably should have planned this out, but I don't have a lot of time before Halloween. I just got these palettes in. It takes a little while to get them in the mail. And so I'm just throwing this together for you guys. I am playing with this the first time, just like you would be. So I am probably piling too much on my eyes. I will go back and sort of fix it and make it a nicer look in the end. But this is kind of what you can expect. So, I mean, as you can see, I'm kind of like trying something, looking at it, seeing how it goes, seeing what I think, seeing if I need more. I do really like the look that I got in the end, but it was a little bit of a long road to get there. But you know, I do this with every new palette I get. So I think I have played with this since, and you can definitely get straight to the look that you wanted a little bit easier. You know, see how I keep building up because I really want it to be a little bit brighter of a look. I think that in everyday life, these shadows are impactful enough and pretty easy to work with enough that you could really just pick 2 or 3 of these colors, use your fingers, use a brush for the crease, and yeah, there we go. And just get probably a more wearable, simpler look. But you know, this is a Halloween look. I'm kind of wanting it to be like extra dark, extra like look at it. So here's what I ended up with. I'm actually really, really happy with this. Usually dark looks I'm not so happy with, but I think this performed really, really well. I cannot wait to get more palettes from them just because I really like this formula. It is not quite as bright and like metallic and shiny as some of the other ones, but I actually find it a little bit easier to work with, and I think it's really pretty. Let's move on to this beautiful Elm Street palette. I love the greens in this. So I'm going to start with the lightest green, which is almost like a yellow foil on me at least. And yeah, this one I also had to build up. It could be used as more of a topper. Some of them, they sort of like obliterate, you know, if they're so densely pigmented that they will obliterate whatever's underneath them. This one allows other stuff to show through. Okay, anyway, so let's move on to the green. I'm using this sort of like mossy green. I'm really happy with the quality of these mattes. They're really easy to work with, not a ton of fallout. You do have to sort of rub them in to blend them, but that's actually a lot easier to use. Okay, let's go with basically the sort of shiny version of that same color and see how it spreads. Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with this so far. This is really pretty. I'm getting a little bit of shimmer, definitely buildable. It's not like too much pigment all at once, which with dark colors can be really hard for us. So I have sort of these darker colors, and oh my gosh, this teal, it's like a teal green, a dark green, and then, you know, like a forest green. I really wasn't sure which ones I wanted to use, so I do end up using them all. I don't think there's anything wrong with that other than sometimes you get a little too much pileup. It's just me being indecisive and really wanting to use all of these colors because they're all so pretty. I mean, look at that. That was just, you know, one little bit on my finger, and I'm kind of spreading it around, and it's got the shine, it's got tons of pigment, it's really pretty. I could have left it right here. In fact, in everyday life I would, but it's me, it's a Halloween look, so let's go a little darker with this more foresty green in the very corner. Like it's really deep in my eye right there, so I can just sort of stick my finger in there, and some of that gets lost in the fold, but it does give it a little more depth. All right, so let's see how this really shiny mid-tone green goes. It's called Boiler Room, just sort of to give it a little bit of shine and interest up here. And usually you can't pick these up very well with a brush, but I actually think that this works really well with a brush and for this particular use and also this particular formula. So I'm actually really happy with that because it's a lot easier to blend with a brush than with your finger. So I'm just gonna keep building it up until it's like about how I like it. I mean, there's literally like 5 greens on my eyes. You do not have to go this complicated at all. Again, I am just playing with the different colors because this is literally the first time I have dug a brush or a finger into this whole palette, and I am just loving it. So let's see if we can bring some of that shine back, see how it layers over the other colors. And yes, this is so pretty. I'm going to continue to build this up to get to the final look, and I think this is just gorgeous. I think there's definitely going to need to be a little more blending that goes on, but overall I think this is exactly the kind of like shimmer that doesn't totally take over that I really like, and it is pretty easy even with my finger to sort of blend it into the other shimmers and get a little bit better of a blended look. Okay, I think this is gorgeous. Let's go ahead and do a little lining with this darkest, I think it's really a black, it's called Burned. Both of the palettes have a really good black that you can see that I used as, you know, my liner. Okay, let's go to the final look. Here it is. I think this is really pretty. My lights are blowing it out just a little bit, but this is one of those ones where in certain lights, I mean, you can see it with the blue for sure. In certain lights, you get a really beautiful shimmer right across the middle of the lid that really is eye-catching. So I'm really happy with these. I cannot recommend these enough. This is a great result for a first-time try. Usually I got to play with something a little bit more to get a good look that I'm actually happy with. Not this. This just works right out of the gate. Really beautiful. I cannot wait to play with these more. I don't know how I'm going to choose which one to use on Halloween night. Well, that's it. I really hope you got some ideas. I have really been enjoying indie palettes lately, especially compared to some of the very expensive non-indie palettes. I don't know GLAMlite, they don't know me. I've heard about them from other creators, and this is, you know, something I want to share because it's my first time trying, and I'm so excited to find really good products, beautiful color stories, kind of everything that you're always looking for, but is hard to find, doesn't come into Sephora. I want to share these kind of things so that if you are looking for something special and even at a better price, go ahead and check some of these guys out. Okay, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them below as per usual, and go ahead and share some of your favorite indie finds. I really appreciate that. That's how I find these things, so we can all have fun and maybe spend a little bit less money doing it for better quality. If you like this kind of content and you haven't already liked and subscribed, please go ahead and do so. It really helps my channel to grow, and I appreciate having you guys here. All right, well, I hope you guys are all going to have a wonderful, fun, and safe Halloween, and I thank you again for joining me. I'll see you in the next video.